paid good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth.
Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Brian invited us to his house for the weekend.
Didn't he, really hurt you? My lady, you're such a prepossessing sight. What in the Shakespeare does that mean?
Once I get him going, I ain't ever.
He's so hot. I mean, the tracksuit thing's a little weird, but look at him. Now, Craig, it is true what Joey says. I suppose I have the capability to be dangerous. Shall we have cross-species intercourse? I feel like these days it's impossible to deny the existence of aliens. I just never thought the way that I'd find out would be live-action hentai.
Hey. No sadness, no anxiety. I forgot how good it feels. Just pure, unadulterated peace. I've been searching for it for so long.
Aren't you, with Joey? Is this really happening?
I don't get in my feelings, I just get in my bag.
By coming here, you found yourself part of something bigger. It's a full symbiotic world.
You don't want to stay.
Oh my God, no! What he's doing is horrible. We both need to leave, but you first.
I'm just trying to protect you.
Right.
Brian's mine.
You hate seeing me happy. No war, no pollution. I am saving the planet. I must devour Craig. What the fuck? Your anuses are open. Excellent.
Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of The Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. On this episode, I am talking to writer-director Addison Heimann all about his new film, Touch Me, from 2025. The film stars Olivia Taylor Dudley and Jordan Gavaris as a pair of friends who happen upon an alien who can touch them and make them feel very good. Not in that way, well, I guess in that way too. I had a great time talking with Mr. Heimann. That's Heimann, in case you're looking for him on social medias. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's a vibe. It's really something, and I hope that more people can track this down, maybe see it theatrically, check it out when it starts to stream. It was a lot of fun. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this interview. Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of The Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. On this episode, I am talking to writer-director Addison Heimann all about his new film, Touch Me, from 2025. The film stars Olivia Taylor Dudley and Jordan Gavaris as a pair of friends who happen upon an alien who can touch them and make them feel very good. Not in that way, well, I guess in that way too. I had a great time talking with Mr. Heimann. That's Heimann, in case you're looking for him on social medias. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's a vibe. It's really something, and I hope that more people can track this down, maybe see it theatrically, check it out when it starts to stream. It was a lot of fun. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this interview. I would love to know a little bit more about you and how you got your start in the business.
I'm a regular gay kid from Northern California, and I grew up on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which of course is my inspiration again to writing. Of course, I found out that's unoriginal because a lot of us find that through Buffy. I went to theater school and I was writing plays. My first play was about a dragon hunter going to a dragon's lair and trying to escape. And everybody was like, "What the fuck are you doing, Addison?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so I graduated college and I was an actor and a playwright, and everyone's, "You're a great writer, Addison." I was my acting teacher, and I was like, "But I want to act." He was like, "Yeah, but you're a great writer." And I was like, "Mm-mm." So I like went to Chicago, stayed in Chicago, doing Chicago theater, storefront and stuff. And acting was just easier, not because I was good at it, because it was like the barrier was lower, because you just auditioned, and if you got in, you were getting paid $150 for 6 weeks of play. And I reached my like Saturn's return, I guess. I was like 26 or 20. I was approaching, and I hit the profound depression where I was eating pizza rolls out of a bucket and watching Gilmore Girls. And I came up with this idea where I was like, I would love to write a pilot about 5 sorority crime fighters who tried to destroy evil frat scum. And I was like inspired by Screen Queens and of course Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I was like, I Googled how to write pilot, and I was like, okay. And then I wrote the pilot, and then I had a reading of it with friends, and I was like, I want to make this. And they were like, how? And I was like, I don't know. And my friend who had been in a show with, she was like, I know one director. And I was like, great. And then I met with her and we vibed. And so we crowdfunded and made a web series back when web series were cool. Not that they're not cool. No shade to web series. Web series are great. But at the time, they were really cool. So I was like feeling hot, and I was like, I'm going to move to LA. And I was like, I have this web series. And then it was like the seagulls in Finding Nemo. Everyone was like, I have a web series. I have a web series. I have a web series. And I went, oh, this is going to be hard. So I really wanted to be a TV writer, and that's really hard to do. The barrier to entry is really high, and I was approaching 30, and I was like, uh-oh, I don't know if I had the time to spend 8 years working my way up through the system to try to eventually claim that. And I wasn't anywhere near of a successful playwright to jump through the hoop. So I decided to make short films, and I was only a writer producer. I've made 3 short films that are all like queer Black Mirror shorts. Basically, I was like, I wanted to be Charlie Brooker. And I was touring festivals with that, or I made them, and then, oh, I had a mental breakdown. Fun. Long story short, injured myself at work. My arm stopped functioning. I was convinced I was dying and broke down. And out of that came my first film, Hypochondriac, my feature, because I was writing it while I was in the throes of mental breakdowns. It was a mess of the script. But I started doing film festivals, and I met my wonderful producers of the first film, Bayderas and John Humber, and they encouraged me to direct. And I was like, I don't know anything about directing. And they're like, but it's your story, you should do it. So I was like, okay. So luckily, we had the pandemic. So I watched hundreds of movies in the pandemic and created my own film school. And I came out of the other side, and we got the funds together, made the movie, and it premiered at South by Southwest in 2022. And then, oh my God, I did it, I guess, once. And then you climb the mountain, and then the fog clears, and oh, there's another mountain. So then you're back where you started, and it's scarier this time. And my first movie was all about how you can get through mental illness and go to the other side and be like, you're good. Now you're filled with empathy and understanding. And then all of a sudden you backslide and you're back where you started. And then you get diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. And then you go through a really terrible friendship breakup. And then that became the genesis for Touch Me, along with a million other things. And all of a sudden I had 2 feature films, and I'm a director, which is insane. I think that's what you asked for, but maybe it wasn't. But either way, that's the story of who I am. And where I got to where I am, pretty much.
Big hentai fan?
Listen, I find it fascinating, the creation of hentai and its origins, and like to get essentially they're created to get around the censors of Japan. And I just find that such a fascinating creation of a subsection of porn. And hentai obviously just like literally translates to pervert. It's such an interesting thing that like I had to explore it obviously through the lens of a friendship breakup. But that I think answers your question. But yeah, like watching Erotica Doji, which is SMS, I really actually don't recommend it. We watch that movie. But it is like the origin of the creation of the hentai anime hybrid. And watching that journey happen to where it is today is pretty wild.
If somebody asked me what Touch Me is about, it's tough to say because there's so many different elements, but they all work. They work together in a real cohesive way.
Yeah. Thank you. I would, the way I say it is it's like the tone of Touch Me and the mishmash of Touch Me is exactly what it's live with obsessive compulsive disorder, because you have the darkest, most tragic, most violent thoughts that just pop into your head every day, and the way you counteract them is by challenging them with ridiculousness. Like sing out your deep darkest fear in like the tune of, I don't know, a Sabrina Carpenter song, or imagine that like your life is falling apart as like poop rains from the sky. It's that combination. Nobody likes poop, but it's like more like it's like unicorns were fucking in the background, and every time you're like, my boyfriend's gonna break up with me, like a unicorn comes, and then you just equate the tragedy with the comedy, and that was what I feel is the creation of the tone of Touch Me. It's that tightrope of what it's like to live with this stupid fucking illness, and that's the was the origin of the movie as a whole.
Yeah, I love the whole thing of by dumping your trauma either on other people, and usually on other people, then there's a reward for that afterwards.
Yeah, especially in like codependent relationships, like this like idea that you get, that's the thing, right? It's like they've been together for so long, Joey and Craig, these two lead characters, and that they reassure each other so terribly. And then once they meet like the basically the pseudo addiction where this, I'm gonna make all your pain go away. Tell me your trauma. Here's some heroin. And of course, like, wouldn't that be nice, right? And wouldn't it be nice if it had no downsides? Of course, the stupid thing about life is that's just not how it works. In fact, like the one thing that's like consistent about a human experience is literally suffering, which is like not a bad thing. It just means that you have to. I mean, it is bad, but it also on the other side of it, the silver lining of it is it's just like the perseverance of the human condition, because you can't get to the other side. It's just the sad part of the world is that everything requires fucking work. And we all try to find these quick fixes, but the reality is it's never a quick fix.
Well, speaking of work, tell me a little bit about how this movie came together, because I know it's never a walk in the park.
Never a walk in the park. It is never the same. After my first movie, you get your first movie into the film festival, and you're just like, yes. And so you have these pie in the sky ideas. You're just like, I'm gonna make a huge movie. I'm gonna direct Jurassic Park or whatever. X-Men is what I always wanted to do. And then you come out the other end and you realize you're just right back where you started, and it's the same. And so you wallow in depression, and then you come out the other side and you're like, I'm sorry that I was so wallowy. I'm sorry I pissed everybody off because I was complaining. And then you realize that you are not in the same place. You are in a different place, and you have all of these other things that weren't available to you before. You just aren't like getting pulled into the offices of HBO until then being told you want to change your life. That just doesn't happen. We're all waiting for the claw, like Toy Story. Like we're all, but like sometimes the claw doesn't come, and so you have to figure out what else to do. So I looked around me and I was like, well, what connections do I do have? I know Dave Lawson, Justin Benson, and Aaron Moorhead, who have created and a wonderful section of five indie sci-fi horror movies. I know they have a production company. Like I know we're friends, and they read the script, and so that was like my, who do I think this makes sense to? And I approached them, and they said yes, which was wild. Then we were off to the races. Of course, there's all the other things that happen: financing, casting, hiring your crew, especially with a movie that's so fucking weird or specific. I'm trying to say specific and not weird, because to be honest, the movie to me when I read it, I'm just like, yeah, this is based any movie like Good Will Hunting in my brain. Not that I think it's like an Oscar-winning movie, but just more as it to me, Touch Me, it is just a regular drama. It's not at all. But that's in my brain. I'm like, what a regular movie. But it's specific, so you got to find your freaks. Once I like learned how to find the freaks and find that really the community that I've had, it was a lot easier to perpetually move forward and go off to the races.
You're talking about how this is so much about friendship, and just the relationship between Joey and Craig is fantastic.
They met like a week before production. I like to, it's my own because I cast them, but no, it's, I mean, it's just Olivia Taylor Dudley and Jordan Gavaris are just incredible people. I know them through vastly different parts of my life. I mean, actually, I didn't know Olivia. I knew Jordan because Devin, his husband, was in my first movie, and I was a huge fan of his from Orphan Black because it was one of my favorite shows, like in college. And so I thought he would vibe with it. And then Olivia and I had met because somebody was originally in that role, and she dropped out, and then so she was recommended to me, and we met and just completely bonded because we both have OCD. And I offered her the movie after 2 hours of just talking about anything else but the movie. Once you find somebody who gets the script, because there's plenty of people who don't, but when you find people who do, you're like, nah, you're never leaving me. And so, like, choosing those two people who already understood what I was going for, it's like the friend of the friend, like hopefully they'll be friends. And very fortunately, we got to spend the entire first week filming that first act. So they really got to build their relationship kind of in sequential order for like the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie before we're off to the house on alien stuff. So thank God for that, because they really were able to create that like bedrock of the pulse of the soul of the movie.
Tell me a little bit about Lou Taylor Pucci, who plays Brian, because he just nails that role. He plays it in such
I know
interesting ways that you don't really ever get a beat on him.
I know. When I'm thinking about like that role, it was not written that way. I mean, obviously, I did do rewrites in terms of the character, but like it was written to be like a suave 50-year-old hot dude. And not that Lou is very attractive, but he's got this like sinister strangeness that's also on top of that. Also, he like that's not how he looks. He like Lou is one of those people who really likes to transform in the role. So he's like constantly changing his hair, his body to fit whatever he feels it is. So when we talked, came down, we had wings and one hard seltzer, and we talked about just like all the sci-fi elements of it. And I was like, so do you want to do it? He's like, I do, but I have to think about it. And I was like, he's not going to do it. And then the next morning I got a call from Louise. Yeah, I'm in. I just have 3 requests. And I was like, what? He's, I want to dye my hair black. I want to beef up for the role, and I want to take hip hop classes. Cause I mean, the hip hop was required, but he like really wanted to get it right. And I was like, cool, man. Yeah. Because he was doing this show where he like had to look like a surfer Jesus, and he just didn't want to be Jesus. So like we dyed his hair black, and it was just like he tinted his eyebrows too. He really wanted chest hair, but I was like, Lou, it's okay. We don't need the chest hair. But he could have been right, except to remove a chest hair piece and put it on takes an hour on other sides of the film. So we were like, I think we both collectively agreed. We're like, that's just too much tuna. But yeah, he learned hip hop dancing in a month. He's so diligent in the role, in that role. He really took it seriously, and you could see he gave us this variation on set, but also like nature was like in the playing field. So we were in the edit room, we were able to pick from just like it was like there was a bad take. It was just, what did we really want to hear? How sinister do we want to be? How childlike do we want it to be? And so we were able to like really piece together this like performance based off like everything he was able to give us. And it was really lovely. He's quite an actor.
Yeah, the hip hop dancing was obviously completely unexpected. Can you tell me about the choreography of that?
Yeah, Meredith, the choreographer, and Luke created the choreography together. They would take hip hop classes together, and they found moves that they both felt that would be in like Brian's wheelhouse, and then created. There's 4 dances in the movie, and then we like added a secret 5th that was like more of a slow mo. But it is like all variations on the same dance move that can be like taken on by other characters. Jordan's such a trooper. He's like Canadian, so he's such, yeah, everything's fine. It's his first horror movie, so of course he's never been covered in blood before. And then Marlene, who's in my first movie, I love her, but she was like, I almost told you I couldn't dance in this movie, but I stuck with it. And I'm really glad they did, because I told them, they were like, so we're going to do multiple angles for this, right? And I was like, no, we're doing one angle. And they were like, what? And then, of course, this is the beautiful thing about actors who, one, work on television, or that's the thing, is like, my acting teacher was right. Like, I am a better writer because there are people who do this and just get it and are able to just walk in and perform. And all of my actors were like that. And so even when they were scared, all of a sudden that anxiety led to pure, not even confidence, but drive. And they were able to like, to put out this like crazy dance. And none of them were dancers before, but they became dancers on the day.
What was the actual shoot like for you?
It was amazing. obviously there were grueling days. We shot in July in LA. A lot of it was in the valley. So it's like the triple digits in the temperature. But the way I was able to convince people to work on this video, it was like, listen, 2 of the 4 weeks for shooting will be in a studio and it'll be air conditioned and we'll go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and you can go home before the sun sets. And everyone went, you son of a bitch, I'm in. So that was really lovely. And it was like rustic. The production company did just in there and have created such a vast wealth of really intelligent people that they brought. And then I brought I brought my cinematographer who brought a whole other subsection of intelligent people. And I'm a person who doesn't, the best idea wins. I'm not on a tour. So it's, for me, it's not about like my way or the highway. It's more about whose idea is gonna win. And so when you have a script and everybody's on board and we're all freaks together, we all are vibing on that same frequency, that everybody has good ideas. And so like that was the best part of it. It's just like everybody's happy to come to work. Jordan's making cookies every week, so everybody's happy about the cookies. And we're also just having a good time on set because we all liked each other and we all liked and believed in the work that we were making. And that's just, I don't want to say rare because I've had it a lot, but it's because when you surround yourself with good people, like everybody becomes this like-minded community that is able to create art like at a pace that feels vibrant. If that makes sense.
Tell me a little bit about your post process, and especially did the movie change during post? Because you said you're pretty open to things changing a little bit during the shooting.
Yeah, this is funny because my first feature, we actually cut a lot out. And I was really scared because, so we were like under the gun because we were trying to make like the Sundance and South by Southwest deadlines. And so in order for that to happen, if we were going to shoot in July, Jess, my editor, had to be editing while we were shooting. So I hit the edit pretty quickly. I think I started like a week or two after shooting. And so she was doing her assembly while we were doing that. And then we had done a lot of like prep work where I would like show her all my Japanese films that I'm trying to homage. And we had movie nights. And so she had this thing. And then Jess brought just this unbelievable sense of play in terms of all the editing, very simple editing things that they used to do back then without all the like major VFX. And she was able to take that. And then we got like a pseudo director's cut. It wasn't. It was a very early director's cut. And I showed my actress, Olivia, I showed her the cut. And she had the most incredible ideas that I did something that I never thought I would do. In fact, everybody warns you not to do is invite your actor into the edit room. So it was me, Olivia, my editor, Jess, and then eventually my producer, John, all together in this thing. And then Aaron and Justin would come in and ruin our lives by giving us really smart notes that we eventually had to take. And so we would go there. But like my favorite thing was we didn't cut any scenes, but we definitely cut things I never thought we would cut. Or like we would rearrange things. Like there was one scene, this scene in the bathroom where it's like a dream sequence and Olivia's like getting her head smashed in by spoilers, but her head smashed in by redacted. We'll go that for spoiler. And it was moved completely in a different place. And that was like the only big thing. But like there are some scenes where it's like, this is a 5-minute long scene and it's all necessary. And then Aaron would come in and be like, have it. And this is how. And we'd be like, there's no, oh, it works. So that was the thing. It's like, even when the note feels stupid, you have to try it because more often than not, it's coming from a place of like why this isn't working. And while it might not be the suggestion that you end up taking, you can uncover it by trying to execute it. You can uncover what like the note is behind the note. And then that leads to like more fun and creative change.
Tell me about the Paget Brewster cameo.
Oh, I love Paget. Paget in my first movie. Now she's been in my second movie. And now I actually have to write her a real role for my third movie because she is too goddamn talented for just to do me that sweet favor of coming on and just like knocking it out of the park and then leaving. But yeah, no, Paget is such a wonderful light of a human being. So down to clown, no ego. And so that was like my favorite thing. I love like the way I direct is I emulate like my actions and my notes based off the energy of the scene. So we were always like pseudo yelling when we were in it to keep us in it because we're in an argument. But it's not like we're like mean. We're just like all having this like fun, creative sense of bouncing. And so she was like totally down to do that. And then there was a point I was worried because in the scene where like she's laughing and then we go slow motion and we like have a big head. And I was like, is this okay, Padgett? She's like, Addison, it's your movie. Do whatever you want. I'm just really happy to be in it. I'm so proud of you. And I was like, Padgett. And so it was like, she's just like a really lovely human being. And I just would, I work with her whenever. I'm just so glad that she was a friend of my producer, my first movie. And then now like, I can text her and that hope if she's free, she hopefully would get to work with her continuously.
When the movie's done, what happened with it?
So we got into Sundance, which is crazy. That premiered last January 2025, which is wild because we like, no one expects to get to Sundance. You submit. We submitted late. We had a picture walk, but obviously there was no. I mean, the benefit of having a movie that is entirely practical effects is that like you can see what it is rather than be like insert VFX all these places. So we were lucky there, and also Jess. This is a weird thing about editors now is that editors also kind of have to be your like one man post production because you have to clean up the audio, you have to clean up all these things, you have to have a lot or like a thing that makes it look like it's close to the color correction that you're doing. But then we got in a month after we submitted and we were like, oh shit, now we have to finish the movie. So we like raced to finish the movie and we got it done. And then we premiered at Sundance and then we premiered at South by Southwest. And then we just continue to do festivals all around the world. I went to like 7 countries, which was nuts. It was like that thing. It's like you get to go on like this tour, and not only do you go on this tour, you don't go alone because you start making friends at these film festivals. And the beautiful thing about horror is like you repeat each other. So it's like you saw somebody at Sundance, all of a sudden they're at South by, all of a sudden they're in New Orleans, now all of a sudden they're Switzerland, also they're in Korea. So you start making these festival friends and you start fostering this like class and community of filmmakers that are all going through it like you are. And that's the best thing about, I think, film festivals and the film festival community is it fosters some incredible friendships. And you also get to make friends with really cool artists that make things that are nothing like you, but you respect so fiercely. Like I got to meet my friends, Lou and Emma made Lesbian Space Princess, like the McManus brothers made Redux, like Ben made Good Boy. And these are all my friends. And we're all just like having fun in Spain together, like celebrating each other's movies. And then that's like the biggest thing you build as a community, and you get to the other side of the release. And of course, we got bought, get distributed by Yellow Veil, coming to theaters like end of March and eventually on demand like early April. But that's when the journey ends. That's when the movie is other people's. That's when it's completely out of your control. But that year when you get to do those festivals and you get to meet these friendships and really solidify like the artistic group mind think and talk about art, that's like stuff that I will always cherish. And now that the story's ending, it's now becoming everybody else's, and I will avoid Letterboxd. But there'll always be those freaks that love the movie. But it is funny because it's no longer mine, and you're allowed to think whatever you want. And I did what I could, and I'm very proud of the movie, and I'm very excited to find the freaks who like it as well.
What's next for you?
That's a big question, right? I've got a few movies in development. One is about a couple who wakes up in purgatory and are told that the only way to get to heaven is to go through couples therapy. Of course, there's puppets. Of course, there's a lot of violence. And of course, there's a magic mirror that likes to sing. And the other one, and I'll be very vague about this, is like a horror movie set around a video game. And that's the other thing I'm writing. But who knows? Maybe someone will come and knock in and I'll direct somebody else's work. But I'm very excited to see forward. And if it's nothing, it's really not nothing. There's always something. There's always some path that unlocks that I have to go back and look and see where that goes.
Well, you talked about your fantasy of directing an X-Men film, and I'm curious, who's your favorite X-Man?
You can't do that. There's so many. Gambit, obviously. Nightcrawler, Iceman, like, love it. Like, I know it. I think people hate Cyclops, but I love Cyclops. Like, I love Storm. Like, you can't ask me to pick. They're so good. But Gambit is probably, of all the people, Gambit's probably my favorite. But it's like a millimeter higher than the rest of them.
Mr. Heimann, thank you so much for your time. This was such a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, this is so lovely. Thank you so much for having me.